Well, Sean Kingston, I remember me and Zach were talking about this early on. Even when he was signed to you guys early on, there was still a lot of drama going on in his life. His mom, I think, was in prison at the time.
She was.
Fraud or something.
I think identity fraud. He was being raised by his brother, Kurt. Yeah. She wasn't in the picture when we signed him.
Exactly. She gets out, and it seems, and I know Sean Kingston. I've interviewed him before. We keep in touch here and there. Seems like there was a nonstop flow of drama with Sean Kingston over the years. He doesn't pay this jeweler. He gets arrested here. There's a fist fight with amigos there. He gets evicted and so forth. And everything kind of culminates this year in May when his mansion was raided. His mom was arrested, and then he was indicted. And they're saying that there was like $1 million worth of stolen property they never paid for. There's jewelers who claim that they gave him jewelry because he promised that Justin Bieber would do free promo for him, but he hasn't worked with Justin Bieber in like over 10 years. And ultimately, he's facing serious charges right now. Did you see any of this drama while you guys were working together?
To some degree, yes. So, look, we signed Sean. He was 15 going on 16, really, really young. And obviously, there was a lot of yes, there was drama. Zach did a good job of keeping it away from the studio because I was just about the music. It wasn't to the levels of what, we've heard in the stories. And again, I've only heard these things the same way as you. I was never like the victim of any of these things. He's never treated me with anything but respect. However, yeah, we would hear about jewelry and things like that. It breaks my heart a little bit because he really does have a good, warm heart, and he really is like super talented. I've worked with different people, and you know how it is, Vlad. Like some artists have more of a work ethic, and some have more of a talent, and some have both. Some have one or the other. Some have neither. He has a lot of just like pure talent, but unfortunately, yeah. I mean, these kind of stories that I've heard, which like when people say these kind of stories for that long, there's got to be some truth to them. I can't validate like every single one. I also think, as you pointed out, like, look at what he saw growing up as his version of normal. That's got to shape you to some degree of like, hey, this is normal.
Yeah, my mom does it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's got to be. Even though you might know on some level, I shouldn't be doing this. It's getting me into trouble. Sometimes like. Yeah, people like just get in their own way, and it breaks my heart on like a friend level, and also on a level even as just a producer and as a businessman. I think he could have had, like with the thing with Sean is like, he loves to like be in the mix and hang with the people and that kind of stuff, and he does a lot of live shows, and still to this day for Beautiful Girls and the hits we made, he can still make money on live shows. But so many times I wanted to be like, let's lock in and make just brand new music. Let's, we kind of reinvented island pop. Like we could do it again. There's a lot of people's careers who have even come up to me and him, like, people like Meghan Trainor. There's a lot of people who base their career off like Beautiful Girl, like Beautiful Girls. Even they kind of like are like, oh, that 50s sound. So yeah, it really sucks that that's happening, and I hope I'm of the opinion that I don't think a person should have to go to prison unless they commit a violent crime. And I've never seen violence. I mean, I've heard fraud, I've heard not paying jewelers and things like that. But I definitely hope the best for him. But yes, did I see and hear stories of like, hey, this guy didn't get paid and that guy didn't get paid? Yeah.
I think, from the outside looking in, from the little that I do know of him and the conversations we've had, I think with Sean, he hit so much success early on as a teenager, and it came so fast and quick. And, we've all gone through this to a certain degree. When you first start making money, you think, well, I'm going to make this forever. I'm used to this, and I'm going to continue to be hot until I'm 80, and I'm going to spend it before I get it. And the reality of life at one point hits you where, okay, yes, you start off with these number one hits, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line, you don't have these big records anymore, but you like the lifestyle.
Exactly.
You get addicted to flying private, living in mansions, driving whatever you want to drive, buying bottles at the club, but your income doesn't coincide with that anymore. So you start to kind of cut corners and try to keep maintaining it, knowing that these things are going to catch up to you later on. And they do.
And they do.
Yeah.
And maybe in his case, he just thought it wouldn't. I was actually surprised too. Like, but I think you nailed it on the head. Back then, especially before social media, the overnight. I don't want to say it was overnight success because he worked.
No,
and was
it wasn't
talented to
overnight
get there.
success. He was what, 16, 15?
He was 16, but Beautiful
That's what I'm
Girls
saying.
went 0 to 100. Back then, you didn't need like fan base and social media. It was literally like, we're going to Z100 in New York and Kiss FM out here, and it just went to number one like that. Mm-hmm. And you're right. So overnight, everyone is singing the song. It was a big breakout song. He's touring everywhere, and like you said, getting used to that, kind of lifestyle. On the second album was first album was like we were all in like flip flops and shorts and going to Subway and Dunkin' Donuts. Second album, he was like, yeah, we're not starting until 4 of my Lamborghinis are flown out from Miami to LA and all this.
That's a real story?
Something like that.
He wanted to fly out 4 Lamborghinis.
He wanted to fly out. He definitely wanted to fly out his cars. I mean, he was.
Wow.
And keep in mind, there's a lot of money in the live shows too. That the unless you have a 360 deal, that the label's not seeing. So I mean, he definitely and everybody at that time too. It was really again, I feel that I'm lucky to be a part of that record and that sound. But it was different than just having a hit with just anyone. Like people like Game hit us. Yo, I got to get on the remix of Beautiful Girls. And I'm like, Game wants to get on this pop kind of song. So it really had like an impact where, everybody after that, like the Soulja Boys of the world were worshiping Justin Bieber. That's how we became friends with Justin Bieber. They were all like, so it was a very, very big kind of like more than just a song, kind of like a movement, kind of a, something. So yeah. And then when you get used to that lifestyle, and it's not easy, we're very lucky that level of hit, came at us. It's like you said, it's not every single song was Beautiful Girls. Mm-hmm. And when you're living like it is, you don't want to backtrack and.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a number one record.
Yeah. On
the Hot 100. Number one,
sure.
Not number one rap record, not the number one R&B record, the number one record, period, out of everything that got released that week.
For sure. Yeah. No, yeah. It stayed number one for a few weeks. And and because of also it's, again, like we can't lie, the sample is so generational, so universal that the combination of all those things put together made it was number one simultaneously in almost every single country for several weeks.